Thanks to EA for giving me early access. What's up everyone, my name is Marie, welcome to my channel, and welcome to another speed build. So for today's video, I am extremely excited because this is my very first speed build with the brand new Enchanted by Nature expansion pack that I'm sharing with you. I was lucky enough to be given early access by EA, so I do have this version of the game essentially that I'm showing you right now, which is why my username is floating around on screen. I hope that's not too annoying, but that's because this is a special build of the game where it's just the base game and the brand new pack, and it is not actually final software. So everything you see is subject to change, and yeah, it's basically a special like early access version of the game where we just get to play around with the pack and build with it and try it out for ourselves. And I was so excited about this one. I don't know what it is particularly about Enchanted by Nature. I'm always excited about new expansion packs, but this one sort of hit different for me. I don't know why, because I'm not even that much of an occult player at all. I barely ever play with occults. I don't really build for them very often either. Every once in a while I will, when I just, you know, feel like doing something a little different or something. But I don't know what it is about fairies that has me so excited, but I am obsessed with this pack already, and this is the first build that I'm showing you. So you may have noticed, or maybe not, that this lot is actually supposed to be located in a tree. After the speed build portion of the video, I will give you a tour of the little cottage that we're building right now, which is very obviously a little fairy cottage. I'll give you a tour of the place and show you the lot, but I was building this in one of the 3 neighborhoods in the brand new world that's called Innisgreen. This neighborhood is called, oh gosh, I think it's called Everdew. It's the most fairy-like neighborhood in the world. So essentially there are 3 neighborhoods. One of them is sort of like a downtown coastal little area that's more, I guess, normal in that sense. There's one more woodsy area where, you know, that really has like apothecary vibes, and it's just a little bit more woodsy and leans a little bit more magical in a way. And then there is this neighborhood that's called Everdew that is essentially the fairy neighborhood, and that's obviously the first one that I ran to. I also knew from the get-go that I wanted to build on this lot so badly. There are incredible lots in this pack by default, I will tell you. They worked with creators for these builds, and all the builds on all of these lots are so good. They're so incredibly well done. I feel so bad bulldozing them to try and create my own builds that are hopefully sort of, you know, you come close to how amazing their lots are. But, you know, obviously I want to try and build for myself as well, so I had to bulldoze an incredibly cute starter home that is located on this lot by default. And it really broke my heart, but obviously, like I said, I wanted to try and build something for myself as well. But they actually showed off a screenshot, well, of most of the builds actually, or of all of the builds, I think. And when I saw this lot and the fact that it's like located in a tree had me so excited, and I just really wanted to see and explore this lot for myself and see if I could build something fairy-like, a little cottage, play around with roof shapes, play around with all the new doors and windows, and a new functionality where you can actually place greenery on the roof, which is super cool. I believe that that's going to come with the base game update. I hope I'm not lying right now, but I am pretty sure that's coming with the base game update where you can actually place plants on roofs and they will slot there and they will sort of like move with the shape of the roof. My roofs are very steep here, so I was a little bit limited in what I could do with the slots for this one. I did go and like place a couple of plants. I initially forgot because I just kind of forgot about that new feature. But then later on, I actually went and placed some plants on the roof, a little bit of greenery, which I think is super cute. But as you can see, I'm just playing around with the shape of this build, and I was trying to get out of my comfort zone a little bit and do something a little different. So I didn't really have any inspiration or anything for this one. I was just kind of looking at the different neighborhoods in this world and trying to like be inspired. Well, I didn't really have to try to be inspired. I was just kind of very much inspired by all the builds that I could see around in these different neighborhoods. And obviously I wanted to sit and build a little fairy cottage. So that's what we're doing. This cottage is really small. It is a 1-bedroom cottage. And you know, it's pretty tiny, as you can probably tell, and I had a lot of fun with the roof shapes. I just thought that that was so cute. I just love how playful it looks and cutesy, and you know, something out of a fairy tale somewhat. Like I said, I didn't really have a specific picture for reference for this one, but obviously ever since they announced Enchanted by Nature, I have been scrolling through Pinterest looking for fairy tale little fairy houses, and you get a lot of like AI generated pictures and stuff as well, but those tend to be really whimsical and just super cute. So I was definitely trying, I guess whimsical is the right word for what I was going for here. And also not have it be too overwhelming, because I wanted to build something while also familiarize myself with all the new items in this pack. Obviously the new wallpapers, doors, windows, everything. There are a couple of columns, there are some fences and some matching stair railings, might I add, so that was really nice. We have some really cute roof textures. I'm using this new green roof texture that you can see, which comes with a matching trim. And then the other roof texture that I'm using, the little shingles that are a little bit, you know, a little bit crooked, those are also new and really cute. I really like the swatches. These doors and windows are phenomenal. There are essentially two sets of doors and windows that really match nicely, so you can sort of mix and match them all within the same build. I feel like that works really well. I really like the wood tones. There are a bunch of vines and things that you can place around your doors and windows up on the wall and really make it look very overgrown in that sense, and I absolutely love that. I really like the swatches for those vines as well. I love creating builds that are a little bit more overgrown in that sense, especially cottages with a lot of vines and wisteria like growing up the wall. So that's kind of what I was trying to do here with the new stuff as well. So obviously for this build, I'm just using base game and the new pack, which was great. It's actually really nice to, you know, just get familiar with all the new items and not be too distracted with other packs. So it's really nice to focus, I guess, in that sense. But I, for one, cannot wait to mix and match this with especially Henford on Bagley cottage living items. I think that that's going to be a dream combination. I think it's going to be so good. Also, Crystal Creations, I think is going to go really nicely with this. If you're going for a more, I guess, darker side of fairy, or, you know, a little bit more gloomy, then I think Life and Death is also going to blend in really nicely with this. So I cannot wait to get my hands on this pack in my actual game and start mixing and matching different packs all together, and I think it's going to be really good. There's also some great debug landscaping in this pack, I will say. There is a really pretty plants. You can kind of see the ones that I placed here by the staircase, those really nice pink flowers, and then also a really nice sort of plant bush thing right next to it, which I think is really nice. There's this really cool sort of massive pancake plant that I placed out front, which is also debug, so that was really nice. There are some tree trunks and a bunch of mushrooms, like really big ones that are super cute. So yeah, this was obviously the very first build that I'm doing, and I'm going to be sharing a couple more over the upcoming days as well, so that's exciting. I was trying to do different things with this pack. I built in all 3 neighborhoods, trying to do sort of different things with this pack and just the base game to really get a sense of what all you can do with just this pack without any other packs combined. And I will say, as much as I love the items and everything that comes in this pack build by wise, if you're not into occults at all, I feel like this pack is going to be a little bit tough to blend in your like everyday family gameplay, because everything is very whimsical, like very whimsical, which makes a lot of sense because it is a fairy pack. So if fairies and occults aren't for you, then maybe this is not your type of pack. But I think a lot of these items, I had a lot of fun using them now. I won't be using them on like an everyday basis, because there's a couple of things actually that will go with your everyday family homes. There are some like children's like toys and stuff, and a nightlight that is really cute. And there are definitely a couple of things that, and one of my favorite things actually, by the way, is a fairy freezer bunny toy plushie. It's so cute. I think I'll be using that one all the time in all my kids' rooms from now on. But as of like everyday items, like kitchen stuff, like the counters, The sofa and chair and everything. Those aren't really everyday items that you would find in your everyday gameplay, like family gameplay, if that makes sense. But if you're into whimsical, even with spellcasters or other occults, or just, you know, a whimsical woodsy cottage in Henford-on-Bagley maybe, I feel like it would work really nicely. But obviously it has to be your vibe. It's not something that's very, like I said, everyday family gameplay, like normal, I guess, items, which obviously depends on what your definition of normal is, but you know, you probably understand what I'm saying here. But as you can see, I was trying to make this very overgrown. I'm obsessed with the giant mushrooms that I placed. I did size them down a little bit. I also placed a couple of planters around. This pack comes with really cute little plants and like little planters that you can slot them in. I will say at this point, as I'm doing this voiceover, I haven't done a single minute of gameplay with this pack just yet. I will be doing that, but at this point when I'm doing this voiceover, I'm recording these things pretty far in advance, but because, you know, I have a lot of things to do voiceovers for and a lot of videos to share on this early access. So at this point, I haven't done a single minute of gameplay. I'm really excited to try it out though, but you can see that there are these really cute small planters that you can put plants in, and I think you actually have to care for those plants as well. And those little plants slot to the bigger planters that we already have in the base game as well, so that's a really fun thing to sort of mix and match different plants and crops maybe that are in the base game, so that is really fun to do. And then obviously a really fun item and skill that comes with this pack is the apothecary skill. There's a really pretty apothecary table that I used in this build as well. As you can see, I sort of created this like bump out on the side that has an archway out front and then also one in the back. It's sort of like an indoor-outdoor space, and that's what I turned into the apothecary office, I guess you could call it, or like the apothecary skill building room. And I'm really excited to play around with that as well. There's also a really cute flower press item. It's a book, essentially like a little journal looking item that you can just place on the table or on a desk or something. I'm really excited to see how that's going to play out as well. There are really cute like pressed flower art thingies in debug as well that you can just use in your houses, so that's really fun. It comes with two fireplaces, one very whimsical looking one, that's the one that I used in here, and then there's another, I guess, slightly normal looking one that's also still pretty whimsical. So that one's really cute as well, but obviously I had to go for all the fairy stuff in here because it's a fairy cottage. So I wanted this, again, to look very whimsical and like very magical in that sense. But as you can see, I started off here decorating this little house with the living room. I love the couch though. I think it's so pretty. It comes in really pretty color swatches as well. The living room furniture, actually all the furniture, comes in really pretty swatches that I think are just so pretty. There are some really good neutrals and then some really pretty more colorful ones, like more lighter pastel colors. There are also some darker, moodier color swatches, so that's really fun. And the pack also has really cute smaller decorations, not too many, but there are a couple of smaller like decorations that you can use. Some of them are apothecary related, so it's like a little box of like items and like ingredients, and it looks really cute. There are a couple of smaller plants as well that aren't the ones that you have to care for, but just like regular little plants, I guess. There are a couple really cute ones, and I'm also obsessed with the curtains. There is one set of curtains with a bigger one and a smaller one that match essentially. And I think those are so pretty. They're not really, well, I guess, are they more like drapes or curtains? I'm not exactly sure, but they're really pretty and the swatches are absolutely gorgeous. And, ooh, yes, I'm placing the little mushroom shelves right next to the fireplace. Those are actually shelves with slots on them, but you don't even have to use those slots because the mushrooms themselves already look so cute just on the wall. It's absolutely adorable. And then one of my favorite items actually is this tree bookcase. There's two of them that are mirrored, and then the clutter on the shelves is also a little bit different, so they are not too repetitive. And I think those are so pretty, but it's kind of unfortunate because you can only really use them on medium wall height unless you size them down. So I sized them down here because I'm not building on medium wall height right here, but it's kind of unfortunate. I wish there was a shorter version of those bookcases as well so that you didn't have to size size them down because there's not a whole lot of items here that work for just medium wall height. We also have no medium wall height doors and windows. They're all short wall height, also archways and everything. They're all short wall height, no medium wall height. So it feels a little random that all of a sudden those bookcases are medium wall height, but for the rest we don't really have anything that's medium wall height. So that's the only thing I'm like, it's a little unfortunate that we didn't get multiple versions of that. Then there are a couple of floors as well that I think are really cute. I'm using this wood floor here. I thought it was a tile at first because of the shape and the pattern. I thought it was a tile, but it's actually a wood floor and I think it's absolutely gorgeous. It comes in great wood tones and also in a couple of pastel lighter colors. So that's really pretty. And what's very exciting to me is those counters. These kitchen counters I think are absolutely gorgeous and so whimsical, and these would have been perfect in the fairy cottage speed build that I shared a little bit ago when I was feeling super inspired by the trailer for Enchanted by Nature. So I tried to create a little hobbit / fairy house, and these kitchen counters would have been perfect for that. They were exactly what I was thinking of. Also the doors and windows, actually. So yeah, we didn't get any new appliances, but I feel like these more older, or I guess more whimsical looking appliances from base game actually work really, really well. I'm really excited to try out some other appliances from either Cottage Living or the Country Kitchen Kit with this counter set. I think those would be really pretty as well. The only downside for these counters, you can see that I'm using the upper cabinets as well, and then also one of those taller cabinets in the corner that has some empty shelves, and I couldn't slot anything, at least no base game decorations from what I could find. I couldn't slot anything to those shelves, so that was a little odd. I did just, raise up some items and just place them there with move objects, and even if you have tool mod, I think it's going to be super easy, and also the red shelf or something, it's going to be super easy to clutter that up yourself. But it's a little bit unfortunate. I would have liked at least a slot, or even better, just some pre-cluttered shelves for that cabinet. I think would have been perfect. Off of the kitchen here is also where I created a really tiny bathroom. We have a few bathroom items as well. There is, I think, actually a full bathroom set. There is a shower, a toilet. I think there's a corner tub as well that I didn't actually end up using in any of my builds because it's really big. And also a sink that I didn't end up using in this build. It was kind of odd because I completely missed the sink and the tub at first. So I didn't end up using the sink in here because the bathroom's so small that I didn't even place a sink at all in this one because it's right next to the kitchen. So I guess the fairy can just use that sink in the kitchen. But yeah, there is a bathroom sink and also a corner tub that you could use. Also, I really like the mirrors in this pack. There is a wall mirror that I placed, I think, twice in this build. And then there's also a floor to ceiling, standing mirror that is, well, not floor to ceiling, but it's a standing full-size mirror that is really pretty. It's so whimsical and just absolutely gorgeous. I also really like these flower wall lights that I placed here and there throughout this build. I think those are absolutely stunning, and you can sort of create your own patterns with them. I think there's either 4 or 5 different directions for those fairy lights. There is horizontal ones, there's vertical ones, and you can just sort of create your own pattern. I did a really bad job explaining that, but you probably know what I mean. And then here I'm decorating this little office where I placed the apothecary table, and then it has a complimentary shelf to go with it. And then here I also placed a really cute desk. I love that desk and the matching desk chair. And then there is a really cute bookcase here as well, a one-tile bookcase. And on top of that bookcase, I placed the cutest nightlight. It's a little acorn nightlight, and I think it's just absolutely the cutest thing I've ever seen. Here I placed another version of that mirror. I think I placed it 3 times in this build because I was so obsessed with that mirror. And then my favorite wallpaper is this magical looking forest wallpaper that is just absolutely gorgeous. It comes in darker colors, lighter colors, more neutral tones. This wallpaper is perfect and so good also for little nurseries or kids' rooms. I just think it's absolutely gorgeous. And the pack also comes with a clothing rack that I think is so cool, and with some complimentary clothes that you can hang from the rack. I think it's really, really pretty. And the only downside though, we have a really cute bed. As you can see, the 4-poster bed is absolutely stunning. We don't have a single bed version of it. There is a double bed, a crib, and a toddler bed, and an infant bed, I think. And then there's no single bed. So I don't know, that's a little bit of a shame. I would have loved a single bed for like kids' rooms or just, you know, single bed bedrooms. So that was a little bit of a shame that we didn't get a single bed, but for the rest we got all bed sizes, I think. So yeah, and in here off of the bedroom, I had a little bit of space left over. So I just decided to place an archway and then create a little in-room nursery, if that makes sense, because I really wanted to use that crib. I thought it was so cute, so I just placed that in here. I think this would be really cute for like a single parent fairy with a baby. I think that would be absolutely adorable. So yeah, I wasn't really thinking of a storyline for this. I was just building. And I was being very excited and very happy and very content while building my little fairy cottage and trying out all the new items. But yeah, that's it for the speed build. So let's jump into the game and I'll show you the build in real time. So here we have the fairy cottage in the game. I now have RESHADE installed, by the way. I didn't have RESHADE installed for the speed build portion. I had just gotten my hands on this pack, so I wasn't patient enough to first install RESHADE and then start building. I basically just started building and then installed RESHADE later, but that's whatever. Look at this lot. It's literally in a tree. It is so magical and the prettiest thing I've ever seen. Look at that bridge going over basically like the river down there. I am absolutely obsessed with this. And as you can see, there is also a lot right here. There is a pre-built house. Are you joking? Like, this is the most stunning thing I've ever seen. But as you can see, this is a very fairy-like neighborhood. There's gonna be so many fairy puns in these videos. I'm so sorry. But look at this lake too. Isn't that just the most gorgeous thing you've ever seen? And then there's something emotion-wise that you can do here. I will say, like I said, I haven't done a single minute of gameplay. I will get to that later and also share it with you. And then there's a rainbow back there. I don't know. I'm absolutely obsessed with this neighborhood. And look at this house. Oh my god. The landscaping, the builders did an incredible job for this pack. Anyway, back to my silly little fairy cottage. I do think she looks very cute here. And also, by the way, look at my little fairy sim. Hang on. Hey, where are her wings? Excuse me. Fly here, please. Oh, there she goes. Look at her. She is so gorgeous. She's just flying around. She's just flying around. Look at those wings. But that's not why we're here. I digress. This is the little cottage that I built. She's very overgrown. I may or may not have lost myself in the debug landscaping a little bit. Look at this tiny fairy house, by the way. I think, yeah, she can actually throw dance parties and sleep in here. It's the cutest thing. So all around, I placed a bunch of landscaping. There are a couple of planters here in the back as well. So you can do a little bit of gardening. I thought that would make sense for my little fairy sim. And then out front here, we just have a small porch with a double staircase. So over here is where we have the little apothecary office, so she can actually like study or craft. It comes with a complimentary shelf that I think is really pretty, and these wall lights are just everything to me. Over here is where we have a desk. I ended up placing the flower press item in here as well, so that's really pretty. And then there's a bookcase. That nightlight, isn't that just the cutest thing you've ever seen? I love it so much. And then over here are a couple of those tiny planters with smaller house plants in them, and these you can actually do gameplay with, so that's really fun. But then over here is the front door, so you enter into a little entryway space. I love this rug. This rug, I actually sized it down in here, but look at that dragon on it. Like, it is so pretty. This dresser is really nice. This is that mirror that I was talking about that I'm obsessed with. And then through this archway here is the living and dining. I couldn't help myself. I placed some vines and stuff on the inside as well. It is a fairy cottage after all. But look at how beautiful that couch is. It is so nice and detailed, definitely very whimsical. It's not an everyday kind of thing, but I really like the cushions and the blanket. And then this little side table next to it actually has 3 slots, so that's really nice. I placed one more of those planters with a plant in it and then just some decorative ones as well. There are 2 versions of this chair, one with a pillow and one without. I really appreciate that. And this fireplace is absolutely gorgeous. And then these little mushrooms are actually shelves. I didn't place any clutter on them because I didn't think it needed it. They look great on their own. Over here is that bookcase that I was talking about that I sized down in here because it is normally a medium wall height bookcase. When I get my hands on this pack in my regular game and I have tool mod, it's going to be really nice to just size it down ever so slightly so it fits all the way up to here. But I really like this though, placed over a window. I don't know, I think that looks very whimsical. And then again, repeat at this mirror because she's gorgeous. Over here, by the way, is some of that debug flower press art that I placed. Isn't that just the cutest? There are a bunch of different variants of this, so that's really fun. And then over here is the kitchen. I really like this apothecary clutter item. I think that's gorgeous. And then I kept the kitchen quite simple. I also love this book moment. I think that is really cute. And the base game appliances actually work really nicely with this kitchen, I will say. Then over here, I created the smallest bathroom ever. That shower is so dramatic in the best way. I think it's absolutely gorgeous. So I placed that in here, and then we have a very mossy toilet. I feel like that toilet seat would be really soft though. You know, it looks pretty comfortable. And then when we go upstairs, we have the tiniest landing where I placed another one of those mirrors. I'm sorry. And then through here, look at that door, by the way. Isn't that such a cute door? Through here is the bedroom where I obviously had to use that 4-poster bed and that wallpaper. Are you seeing that? It's so pretty. I repeated this little table with a couple of plants and a night light. My camera's a bit jumpy, but then over here is where I placed that full-size mirror. It is so magical. I love the mushrooms. It's just really pretty. And over on this side, and this little strange bump out, I placed a clothing rack with some really pretty clothes hanging from it. And then over here is where I have a little in-room nursery, I guess. Look at that toy box. That is a new toy box, and that's the only toy box I'll be using from now on. It's so cute. And then that crib too, I mean. And then I just placed a dresser here with another one of those plants and another one of those flower press artworks. But that is it for this build. So you can't download this build off the gallery just yet, but as soon as the pack comes out, I will upload all of my builds to the gallery, of course, and then you'll be able to download this. But that's gonna do it for today's video, so I really hope that you enjoyed this one. You can follow me on Instagram if you like. My username on there is SimmerySims. If you're not subscribed to my channel already, feel free to do so, and if you'd like to get notified every single time I upload, just hit that bell icon. I also live stream over on Twitch a few times a week, so if you're interested in that, go ahead and give me a follow over on twitch.tv/SimmerySims. So I just want to say thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you all in my next video. Bye!